So, according to my screen, it is live. So, good evening everybody, and welcome to the Photo Creative Fashion and Style Challenge. This is a different one because this challenge was set by the Photo Creative Group youngest member, Ava-Marie, who is 8 years old and is producing some amazing images. So there's going to be two sets of favourites with this one. There's going to be Ava-Marie's and then there's going to be mine. We will get there in due course. So I hope everybody's well. If you're new here and you don't know what Photo Creative is, what is this idiot talking about? It is a community of several thousand photographers now that live on Facebook and on my website. We issue a challenge each month to get your creative juices going. It's like a project for you to practice on and give your photography skills a bit of a workout. We then come here, we meet, we have a chat, we do a bit of feedback and have a look at the images. I will choose one which is my favourite. It isn't a competition, it's a challenge. And there's a big difference between those two. A challenge is something that challenges you, the individual, whatever that might be, because we are all at different places on our photography journey. Some of us are very advanced, some of us are just starting out. And when you think about all the great photographers that you admire, at some point they picked up a camera and went, how the hell do you work this thing? So everybody is in the perfect place. Good evening, Glenn, Fleetfoot, Susan, Alve, and all you lovely people, Gary, Don, Jules Vids, and we always have this one, don't we? We don't know what your name is really. Susan. Guys, you regulars here and anybody who enjoys this live stream, please do me a big favour and just hit that like button. Just go and do it now if you know what these things are like. I'd really appreciate that. It makes a big difference. It helps the video get discovered, it helps Photo Creative grow, it helps me earn a living and all that good stuff. So just go hit that like button for me. I'd really appreciate it. Photo Creative survives on voluntary donations. It's very much appreciated, but it's not expected. If you get value from these challenges and think you've learned something, then you can make a small donation either on the website or by clicking the little $sign below this live stream in YouTube. Kenneth, hello, and hello Ava-Marie. I hope you're well. I think it's great that you set this challenge. So guys, that's that little background there. Now before we get going, I want to share a couple of pictures with you because I've just recently rushed back from Lanzarote, from the ever popular Lanzarote workshop, which I've been running now for quite some time. And I just want to talk a little bit about how photographs evolve, how we kind of take something and then evolve it as photographers. Because it's not really just a case of wandering around looking at something, it's having an idea, seeing something, having an idea, and then growing it and changing it and moving forward like that. Hello Alec, Peter Schmidt, hello Peter Schmidt. Some of you guys are in my private mentoring group. If you like the feedback you see here, get yourself on the wait list for the private mentoring. There are links in the description below, go check it out. Right, let me get my screens set up. And here we go. I just want to share a couple of pictures and have a brief little talk with you. So for example, here's a location that is one of many that I take people to on the Lanzarote workshop. Yes, a pretty little church, there's a nice sky, sometimes it's a really exciting sky. Now it's one of those places where at sunrise, it's not so much the sunrise behind the church, it's the sunrise, as you can see, it's happening to the right of the church, but you sometimes get some gorgeous light. Depends on the weather, what's going on in the sky, the clouds. Those of you who love landscape, you've got to realise it's not just about going to a beautiful place, it's about going to the beautiful place in the right conditions, in the right light, with the right weather. Because trust me, this place can look terribly dull and boring if you don't have it. I haven't got the pictures because I was in a bit of a rush to get live, but last time I was here we got some breathtaking images because the sky was so dramatic. Landscape is not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of work, a lot of patience, a lot of practice and a lot of research. So let's just talk about this one place. Because you might think, what, we get up at sunrise just to go and take one picture of a church. No, because you build on these ideas. So while we're there, somebody was saying, you know, oh, it's such a shame the sun isn't rising behind the church. Well, there are often ways. So then we got into the whole conversation about shooting a panoramic image. So here's the same church taken on the same morning, just a little later. This is a pano. This is probably about 8 or 10 photographs shot vertically, starting just to the left of the church and then working around to where the sun actually was rising above the village of Tegizi. You can then stitch them together in post-production. Now I know you're going to say, oh, I want to get it right in the camera, and I salute you for that, because you do need to get it right in the camera, because you can never get a good final image if you don't have a good original. This is really important. As for the software, the post-production has always happened since day one. I have somewhere, but I'm not quite sure where it is, a photograph of what's called, I think it's called the Devil's Cauldron or the Devil's Punch Bowl. It's Victoria Falls on the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, and I took it on film. I couldn't get a wide enough shot to get the whole thing in, so I shot a pano on film. We then took the prints, cut them and joined them together. It's happened forever. It's just that instead of using a scalpel and glue and pieces of cardboard, we can now just sit there quite comfortably and tell a piece of software to knit our pictures together, when then we can do our post-production. And the post-production would have happened on those negatives. Phil, who printed those pictures, he dodged and he burnt and he played with the colour balances to make sure they all matched and looked great. It's always happened, guys. It's always happened. So then we were looking at this church thinking, well, what else can we do with it? You see this little wall here? Well, there's a field just before it. So how about if we shoot from a slightly different angle, because we got that low angled light and it was picking up these lines and stripes in the field next to it. Light and shade, they're the most important things in all of photography. It's not about the subject. It's about how the light is playing on it and how you compose it. Then in third place comes the camera skills, and in last place is the camera you use, because it doesn't matter. All cameras take great pictures these days. Manufacturers can't produce a rubbish camera because it's all over social media in 30 seconds flat. This thing's rubbish. But look at the light. See, we've got a shadow here. We've got a shadow from the pole there. This end of the wall has a highlight. This end has a shadow. The highlight and shade is what's bringing up the textures where the farmer has been round the edge of the field. If the light was flat, say it was completely cloudy, it just doesn't work. It would just look really, really dull and boring. So what was the next phase? Well, obviously there's the shots of the church, but then someone who was on the workshop, Wendy, she was walking around and she was quite interested in plants. She was doing it all week. Started photographing these little succulents. That is Wendy there looking at some others. But we then all joined in and took her idea, and then we evolved it and we adapted it to our own way of doing things. And this is why it's great to look at other people's photographs, because you can see something someone else has done and think, oh, I kind of like that. But how about if we did X, Y, Z, something else? Remember, photography happens in your head, not in your camera. You are the creative force in your photography. And of course, the great thing about being on a workshop is you're with a bunch of like-minded people. You're all having ideas, and then you're all taking your ideas and you're expanding and growing and taking them a little bit further. There is a huge amount of peer-to-peer learning, and I'm on hand. If anyone gets stuck, I can of course help out. Everybody learns from everyone else. Here's a different succulent. You know, my take on it, the angle I liked shooting it, because I like the hill in the background where the sun was coming up behind it, and Tegizi Castle on the top. As you can see, there's a lot of haze, a lot of mist going on in the air. Now behind us in the other direction, something else was going on. Look at all this mist. It was just hanging over the top of, I can't remember which town that is. But it's from the same place, just looking in a different direction. And it was all working because of the time of day and the mist and the light. Look at the shadows and highlights on those volcanoes. We have a bright side and a dark side. If the sun was directly overhead, there'd just be kind of a conical shape in the picture. There'd be no texture to it. There'd be no lines, no sort of... It just wouldn't come to life. Even in the mist. This is as the mist was starting to thin, which I think worked really, really well. Another one, but just looking in it, actually when we finished there, we thought, well, we've got what we're going to get from this place with the sunrise. Let's just run up the road to, remember I mentioned Tagisi Castle. We just drove up the road and went around the other side of it to see what it would look like. Recognise those volcanoes? Same ones from a different place. Absolutely true. Alan Baxter just said, the golden rule of photography, always look behind you. Always look around, always move around. Try different things. Try it on the ground, try it standing up, try it looking down, try it from the left, try it from the right. And remember, composition is just purely little tiny movements of your camera and your body. It's a dance. You move things around just by little tiny twists, little tiny movements like that, going to the right, going to the left, up, down, tilts, up and down, left, right. As you do it, that is how you organise the elements of your composition. And I'm sure Alison Bell is here somewhere. She coined the amazing phrase, do border patrol, look all around the edge of the border, make sure there is nothing sneaking in that you do not want. Same day after we'd had breakfast, you know, just walking around finding pictures. I just love this guy and his little dog. You know me, I like taking pictures of people. Yes, you are, Alison Bell, I can see you there. Alison says it wasn't her phrase, it was someone in her camera club. Nonetheless, Alison, I learnt it from you. There is always something to find, always something to do. These are just a couple of random pictures. Now, we went down here to Famara Beach, which is usually fantastic for sunset, but there wasn't one. Well, there was, it's just we couldn't see it because there was all this grey cloud hanging around on the horizon. Usually you get this beautiful reflection on where the water comes back off the black sand beach, and you get a great reflection of the volcanoes and the sun setting and people walking around. It's all hazy and magical. It wasn't. The weather didn't play ball, but there's always something else to do. There's always surfers down there, and I just love this little kiddie sandcastle which has obviously had a wave come over it. So it was a question of just lining up the shot, setting the depth of field, thinking through the shot, and then waiting. I just had to wait until a surfer walked through the picture, because that's what I was thinking. What is Famara Beach? It's a big beach, there's loads of people, kids playing in the sand and surfers. So forget the sunset, which ain't happening. Look for something else. Stephen Law says he was in Lanzarote for a week. Not one sunset at Famara Beach. Cloudy all week. You should have come with me, Stephen. You see, we get amazing sunrises and sunsets, and actually we arranged the weather so that it was more of a challenge to stretch those creative juices, and that's why we didn't have a sunset here. But don't tell the guys who are on the workshop, because they'll lynch me. Hello, Howie702, first time here. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Oh, look. Another motorcyclist, which is wonderful. Another thing which is really, really valuable, and you can do this. I mean, obviously I want you to do this on a workshop with me because, hey, that's how I earn a living, you know? And it's also my pleasure and my privilege and my joy. It's what lights me up, is helping people have little eureka moments and light bulbs go on over their head. But, you know, just walking down some little roads and streets and seeing what you can find. They'd already done the grape harvest, and I don't know, it was me or Wendy, but we spotted this last sort of clump of grapes that were sitting there because there weren't any to be seen anywhere. Then it's, how do we photograph them? How do we say these grapes are on Lanzarote? Well, the white building in the background, okay, it's very, very soft, and I did that on purpose. And the volcano on the horizon and the black soil. These are all things which will give hints to anybody who knows that this is somewhere like Lanzarote. Same grapes, just shot from a different angle. The exact same bunch of grapes. What I just said, move your body. Look at things from different angle. It's the same thing, just shot differently. just like the church. It's not just rock up, take a picture of the church. And it's not just running around taking as many pictures as you can. It's like, think, okay, so where else could I go? How about if I did it from around here with a slightly longer lens? How about if I angled the camera slightly differently? There they are again, looking different again. Same bunch of grapes. The reason I just wanted to go through that is because obviously I want to do what I can to help you guys to get to where you want to be with your photography, and that is part of what these challenges are all about. And obviously I want you to come on a workshop. That workshop, the Lanzarote one, we've just relaunched the dates. Link in the description below, go to the workshops page. Come with me next time because it's a cracker. I don't know if anyone is in the chat who was there. I know a couple of the guys are still travelling, but if you are, say something about it if you're here. Okay, so let's go and have a look at Ava-Marie's challenge. I'm going to have to just rearrange my screens once again. I will give a bit of feedback and a shout out, so if I think a photographer could use a little help, I may say something about that, and hopefully it will help the group as a whole, not just that photographer. Anything I say is of course only my opinion. I've been a professional photographer for a very long time. At the end of the day, it's my opinion, and the only person anyone has to please with their photography is themselves. So I'm speaking from a place. Hello, David. David, there he is, Lanzarote. David was on Lanzarote with me. You've been on several workshops with me, haven't you, David? So talk to David if you want to find out if it's any good or not. What was I trying to do? I was trying to share my screen so that we can have a look. Where's that gone? There it is. There. So we can have a little look at your images for this challenge. I kind of lost my thread because it was good to see David here. You might see him again in a minute. It was interesting to me because I thought Ava came out with a really great challenge, yet there weren't that many entries. So it obviously was challenging for everybody. Fashion and style, that was her challenge. So let's get into it. We're going to wrap up about 8 o'clock in about 45 minutes thereabouts. So I will discuss as many as I can along the way. Let's put that there so I can see what I've got to do. Thank you, Jane Barnes. She just said if you haven't hit the like button already, please do it now. That would be absolutely fantastic. So now I'm going to start at the top this time. So let's have a look at this one. Harry Crosland. Harry, you're a very accomplished photographer. We've seen quite a lot of your stuff over time, and it is a beautiful photograph. Beautifully lit. Look at the work that Harry has put into this. I don't know if you're here, Harry. I'd love to know whether you used a reflector, whether you put in some fill-in flash here to get the light to work, or whether it's just available light and you did a bit of post-production, which is fine. Cameras and eyes see light completely differently. If you shoot raw and do some post-production, you can make it look the way your eyes saw it. That is why when you shoot against the light, you very often get a silhouette, yet you can see detail in the shadows and the highlights. So I'll be interested to know how you did it, Harry. What do I think about it? Beautiful light, beautiful colours, well composed. The only thing I would say, Harry, is it to me, and I know I'm being anal here, but that's because you're a good photographer. The trees are kind of leaning back. It's like the camera was at not quite the right angle and everything's leaning back. And the fact she's looking up, I think, enhances that feeling. I just find it a little irritating. It's not quite straight. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all those trees are leaning over. However, those were my thoughts. Great light, really well shot. I guess of course it says fashion and style. We're looking at a fashion from a bygone era and the style of the time. But those were my thoughts on this one, Harry. Let's just move on a little further. Here we go. Who is this? Dina Peters. Again, beautifully taken image. I love the way you have worked hard and positioned the sun right between the toes. I like the sunset, but I'm not quite sure what the picture's about. It doesn't quite, to me, say style or fashion. It says an interesting pair of shoes on a table at sunset, and I think there is a little bit of a difference there. This is where the challenge element of these challenges comes in, because it's stretching the mind, trying to think, okay, just out of interest, who went and had a look at a bunch of fashion photographs to try and get some inspiration, to look and see what professional fashion photographers are doing before you worked on this challenge? Just put a me in the chat, please, if you did that. Who went and had a look at professional fashion photography, just to try and get a head around it? Okay, there's a few. Alison Bell says nope. Come on, there's more of you here than that. You can use 2 fingers to type me. Well done, Don. Peter didn't. Am I on my own here? Come on, guys. Gary watched the video which I linked from the website, which I think was a really interesting point, because I hadn't considered what David said in that. As he said, if you have a pose like this, it is not fashion, because it's about the person. It is not about the clothes or the style. These are the little subtle differences that we need to bring into our photography. So some of you guys went and watched the video, but I'm only seeing 1 or 2 people who bothered to watch it. Kenneth said Ava-Marie went and watched the video as well. Robert forgot to enter. But it's interesting, you know, this is why I put some examples on there. But, you know, this is all part of the challenge, it's all part of the learning curve. Rather than just rushing out and thinking, I'm going to take a picture, do a bit of research, because that's what photographers do. It's not just go and click with the camera, it is the research. So you're asked to take a fashion picture, go and have a look and see what some fashion photographers are doing. What are the styles? How does it work? If you saw the video, you would have seen David ask Steph to sort of do a glamoury pose, and she sort of did this thing like that. And in the video you can just see it totally changes the meaning of the picture. When she was just stood there, arms straight, just almost doing nothing. It was about the clothes and the style. But as soon as she started doing this, you don't notice the clothes, because then it becomes about the girl instead. Beautifully taken picture, Dina. I cannot knock you for that, but I wasn't quite getting fashion and style from it. I was more of a sales picture, actually. It's like, here's a pair of shoes. But I also found that the shoes are arguing with the sunrise or the sunset. I'm unsure what the picture's about. Let's move on just a little further. Adrian John Jones. Good idea. Good idea. Shooting at Goodwood fashion, and you know, we got some great sort of 1950s stuff going on here. And this is where it starts to get difficult, isn't it? Because you're at Goodwood, which is a modern day event, and we can see that in the background. So it's like, how could you shoot this picture and lose all that background? Because it is interfering with your fashion and style. You know, people wandering around and coffee and soft drinks, the fire engine. It's all competing with what your picture's about. So Adrian, what I would suggest is, if you could get further away, and I'm not sure you could because I know how busy it gets at Goodwood, but if you could get further away, use a longer lens and a wide aperture, you might be able to soften that background. Maybe you could find a slightly different angle to shoot from. although you did shoot from the perfect angle from the point of view of light, because look at the backlight, look at the light sparkling in the girl's hair, look at it running around their shoulders. They are backlit, which is a great way to light things. My other bit of coaching, Adrian, is use a lens hood, because you've got really strong lens flare going on here. The reason the picture looks kind of milky is there was no lens hood. If you can put a shadow on your lens, you don't get that washed out sort of milky thing. So that would be my way of doing it. Gary Cleesby just said, or use a 50mm lens. Good idea. If you've got a 50mm prime, and you know they're not that expensive, you've then got a very wide aperture. You could probably shoot the same thing, not have to get so far away, but if you shoot at a very wide aperture, you could then make the subjects stand out against the background. That was a really good idea, Gary. You're very welcome, Adrian. And thank you for getting the picture up there. Great idea. And I love the fact you backlit them. Oh, why isn't my scroll wheel working? Here we go. It is a bit. Let's move on down a little further. Who is this? Chloe Jones. Hello, Chloe Jones. So, Chloe, the fact we can't see the eyes is a good point. The direct down lighting, I'm guessing it's underneath a street light or something. It's a little bit too harsh. Now the style part possibly comes in from the attitude of this person wearing the jacket. I think maybe moving around in that light, something like that could have helped you. What I get here is someone, looks like a little person, a kid or something, wearing an anorak, which is a shame, because there are lots of things about it I like the attitude-y thing, the crossed arms, the look on, you know, the position of the mouth, but we can't see any eyes or anything. So to me, it just kind of lost it. But you challenged yourself and you had a go, and that is what's important. Hello, Emily. It's your brother. Brilliant. And you lit it with Mum's torch on her phone. How cool is that, right? You were thinking about it. I'm sorry it didn't quite pay off, but you were thinking about it. You came up with an idea and you gave it a go. And that, to me, is really important. Because when you give something a go and it doesn't quite work, what have you learned? You've learned a way not to do something. And that goes for everybody, right? Wasn't it James Dyson had about, I don't know how many failed attempts at making a bagless vacuum cleaner. So he had 1,000 attempts, but what he actually said was, I learned 1,000 ways not to do it. And this is the whole point. Never, ever be afraid to get something wrong. Peter Schmidt just said phone torches are great. Absolutely. Peter's been doing some personal one-on-one mentoring. We're doing the online thing together. And the things Peter is now producing, just using a couple of iPhones and a desk lamp to light glass, is absolutely stunning. It's phenomenal. Amazing stuff. So, well done, Chloe. Let's move on a little bit somewhere else. Nick Smith. Nick, I understand what you're saying, but you knew there was going to be a but, didn't you, from the pause? It's like what we've got here is a photograph of a collection of watches. Really hard things to photograph, watches, because they're reflective. Look at all these reflections you got going on in the glass. Very difficult to control that. And I can see your thinking, saying watch fashions change as well. Yes. Does this picture scream fashion and style? I'm sorry, my friend, but it doesn't. It says, here's a collection of watches. This is the thing. Remember that with the challenges, it's about getting the challenge into the picture, not just in our own heads thinking, oh yeah, well, watch styles change, but is it obvious in the picture? Are we telling our viewer this is about the evolution of styles of watches? I don't think it is. What would be? It would be a lot more work, it'd be a lot more complex. I'm thinking of, I don't know, looking along a row or something of wrists or people with watches. You know, you don't see the whole people, it's just keeping it tight on the watches or something, or a load of hands coming in at a different angle, each holding a different style of watch, and then making that match with the clothing, so that you mainly see the cuff of a shirt or a jacket or something, or a piece of jewellery to go with the watch. But it would then say a little bit more about this is over time and this style evolved. I know it's complicated, totally get it. Apparently a challenge mistress Ava-Marie says it screams a bunch of time. Good one, good one. Now here's a colourful one, James. It is colourful, and I do like that. The evolution of style through ties. People don't wear ties much these days, do they? Once upon a time, the tie was a very important piece of fashion, wasn't it? You know, it's like people would wear like somber ties for business and things, and then the loud tie sort of came in. So I can see where you're going with it. Okay, so you used an off-camera flash with an umbrella modifier. Yep, you got some quite nice light. Highlights and shade going on, the shadows. Maybe the light's a little harsh, but I think it works in this case. It's a nice idea. I can't think of anything more to say, I'm afraid, my friend. But it is a nice idea. It's a nice picture, and I see where you're going with it. And I like the fact you've got your composition all straight. These are really important things. Make sure your composition's nice and straight. Border Patrol. I say that a lot. Everyone on the Lanzarote workshop was shouting it at every different location. Come on, thing. I'm trying to get this scroll wheel to work. It is misbehaving. I'm going to move on just a little bit faster. But look at the pictures as we go through and just think about it. Who's this? Aha! Ava-Marie's dad, Kenneth. What did Ava-Marie think about your picture? That would be an interesting one. By all means, feel free to pop it in the comments. I'll keep half an eye open. It's a really beautifully lit picture of a suit of armour. And I also get your point that armour was a fashion item. Yes, it was a practical item, as in when you go into battle. However, it was also a statement during its period in history, you know. The armour you were wearing would say something about who you were and what your status was in society. So I do get you thinking, I really do, and I really like your light. I think in today's modern context of fashion and style, I don't think it quite fits the brief, but it's a very well taken photograph. I particularly like this really bright highlight down the shadow with the you know, the lance and all that stuff. If you get a chance, just pop a few words from Ava-Marie about Dad's challenge. It would be really interesting. Ava-Marie says it's not even in her top 10. Marvellous. I think that's great. Hervé, our travelling street photographer. There's things about this I like a lot, Hervé. We've got a stylishly dressed lady. We've got the stylish looking shop. It doesn't, what is it? Oh, it's handbags and things like that by the look of it. Forgive me, I'm a country boy. I ride motorbike. I don't really know much about fashion and style. You probably noticed, having a bad hair evening and everything. There's a lot of things I like about this. I like the stride. I like the stepping out. The fact you've combined, you know, the shop and this very stylishly dressed lady. I think you know what I'm going to say, Ave. To me, it's, I don't know, her expression. I'm being harsh on you because you're good at this. Your expression, her expression. It's the downcast. I don't know. It's something to do with her mouth. It's not even the downcast eyes. It's just that moment. Somehow she just looks. She doesn't look moody. She doesn't look. She just looks fed up. Yeah. Bloody Ove again, taking my picture. So that's my only feedback for you. Beautifully composed, well lit, all that. I like the way you blended the correct colours, you know, all those subtle warm tones, browns and golds and all the rest of it. And I really like the position of her feet, the way she's walking, hands in pockets, shoulders. To me, it's just something about that expression. Maybe she never changed it. Maybe she didn't change it. I don't know. You've been doing a lot of street for a long time and you're very good at it, and a lot of travel, so I totally get it. Don Johansson, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, buddy. Making a little donation just to help keep the group going for everybody. Beach fashion, hat, sunscreen, must when the Aussie heat arrives. Get it, I get it, I get it. Thing is, Sharon, nobody else understands about the Aussie heat. We're going purely with the photograph. I'd say it's more of a beach still life and not quite a fashion item. I don't know. Orion Thrower here is saying it's one of your faves. Orion, do you mean this picture is one of your faves, or do you mean Hervé's picture of the lady crossing the street? And by the way, Hervé's just said she was looking at the floor because it was very slippery. And if you're wearing stylish shoes, as I obviously always do, my experience sort of is that, yeah, stylish shoes, they don't grip very well. Okay. Ryan says, yes, this photo. It's a well taken picture, Sharon. I'm not taking that away from you at all. You've thought about the depth of field. It's really strong on the hat and the sandals and the sand. We've got a little bit of sparkly water in the background. To me, it's a beach still life rather than a fashion and style. Maybe that's just my interpretation. Who disagrees? Please say you're wrong in the chat. Go on, just do it, right? I'm just a guy sitting in an office talking to his computer, right? So I'm completely up for not being right. Okay, we've got a couple of comments. Okay. Keep going, guys. Come on, keep going. I know there's more of you here than about 5. Don't be lazy now. Join in. This is all part of it. Fiona disagrees, but then you are an Aussie. Don't I know it? Speaking of Fiona, who was on the Ireland workshop, come all the way from Australia. That one is open again. I have relented. Instead of not running it because there weren't really enough people, I have decided I'm going to run it after all, because I know some of you guys asked me about it, so that's just an aside. I'm interrupting. Okay. Jane missed the beginning of the question. Jane, you need to pay attention more. Jane has asked, Jane's Photographic Society's got me to do a talk down there in New Zealand, which I think is really, really cool. Obviously, it's going to be online. Carrie, thank you very, very much. And no, it's not just me saying thank you very much. It's all you guys in the group. All of you guys that don't think it's worth £3 a month to get a bit of coaching and feedback. You know, the guys who are putting in just £3, cost of a coffee, or £5, or whatever it may be, a month. You know, they're the guys that are keeping this going. Jane says, sorry, you're forgiven. Yeah, good point, Jane Kilbride. It's a fashionable hat and shoes. Yeah, don't quite get the fashion thing. Hope you found that useful, Sharon. Let's move on because time is passing. There are some great pictures. It's whether or not we quite get the fashion and style. Who was this one? Graham Rogers. Hello, Graham Rogers. Graham, I don't know if you're here. You probably are, because you often are. Did you watch the video? Because I know you do quite a lot of this sort of photography. For me, there's a couple of things going on here. Because the model is so close to the background is sort of a little bit intrusive. But the other thing is, because of her pose, this business, it's kind of, I don't know, forgive me, but it's very sort of 50s. And it's just as David said in that video, it's as soon as you start throwing poses into the model, it becomes about the model and not about the fashion and style. And that's what I think is going on here. Maybe if you could have had her 3 paces away from the background and then use a slightly smaller slightly bigger aperture, just to separate the two. You don't want to lose it. I like those lines in the back. I think they're great. But the fact she's so close to the background means the background's become the part of the picture. Otherwise, I think if it was just slightly soft, it would be a really great background. Yeah, Ryan was just saying, yeah, it's a bit distracting. These two are pretty stylish, aren't they? Hello, Alan Baxter. This is a great example of what I was just saying, actually. And I remember this one going in and out of my, oh, do I go with this one? Do I go with that one? Do I go with this one? Do I go with that one selection when I was making the choices? Because what we've got here, Alan has done what we've just been talking about. Used a slightly wider aperture, maybe a slightly longer lens, but certainly a slightly wider aperture. We've still got that background, but it's just separated the models from the background. Now, once again, I'd say they are on the borderline of being something else, but it's not overdone the way that they are standing or posing. And actually the way they're standing or posing, I think, works with what they are wearing. The fact they're both wearing complementary outfits, you know, they sort of fit together. They just kind of work. Critique, I would say the blue thing in the back, which looks like a bus, is really annoying. And if you could have taken it a moment earlier or later when it wasn't there, I think that would be great. I'm not sure what the poster is. I'd have asked them to dump the poster, because obviously they knew you were taking the picture. I'd have asked them to drop the poster, because it's a distraction. That ready pink thing, it's really taking away from them and their outfits. They're standing stylishly, they're wearing cool stylish stuff. Now, I know we're going to say the light is a bit harsh for this. I don't know if you set it up. It looks to me like you just happened to be there. My coaching to you would have been ask them to put the placard down, because it's a distraction. Just checking comments, see if anything else. Yeah, good point, Jane Barnes. We can see the whole outfit, nothing is cut off at the knees. Daytona SX just said, am I going to start making YouTube videos like the old ones again? I'm sorry, Daytona X, no I'm not. They are a phenomenal amount of work. They don't generate any revenue. You're fighting a YouTube algorithm continuously. And hey, all the stuff you need to know is already there. What am I going to do? Say the same thing again and again and again and again and again and again and again. So I'm afraid it's extremely unlikely. I might bang up a video one day, but it's very unlikely. Amanda Newell, hello. Seem to have picked a few of your pictures lately. I thought this was a good idea. I thought it was a clever idea. And it's like within the context of fashion and style, it stands out because it is so different. I think it makes you think. And if you took the trouble to look at it for a moment, you'd sort of get it. That's what happened to me. I looked at it and thought, who on earth was put in some Scrabble stuff? And that made me enlarge it and have a look at it. And then once I got there, even with my appalling reading skills, I got what you were doing. And it's a well taken picture. You've used a shallow depth of field. You've got some, I don't know where the light's coming from. It's coming from slightly in front and it's hard, but it works with those little Scrabble tiles. I also quite like that dark bit at the top. Nice idea, nice idea. And I think you did it really well. There's no question about that. What do we got? A couple of stylish dog shots going on here. I'm going to have a look at this one. Ah, Jules. Okay, I've just seen what you said in your comment. You didn't feel overly inspired by this challenge. Totally get it. It's a beautiful picture of a dog. I'm not getting fashion and style out of it, but it is a really nice picture of a dog. But then that's what I would expect from you, because you know you're good at this stuff. You've used a wide aperture, you've separated the background, you've got great catch lights in the eye, you've got a great little magic moment with the dog, and it's cute, and it's wearing a jumper. I'm not sure that quite takes it to the fashion and style level, but nonetheless, it's a cute dog, and it does look engaged and interested in the world around us. Who's this? Uli. Okay. I can see what you've done here. Because when I first started, I thought, well, what is this? It's just a bunch of blokes' backs. Uli, it's a very tenuous thread, my friend. I get it. The lederhosen and all that stuff, yeah? But I'm sorry, my friend, it doesn't look like you put a lot of work into it. It's more like you saw something and thought, oh, that might fit the challenge because they're wearing lederhosen and, you know, the shirts and this sort of thing. You know, look, we've got a cut off arm here, another cut off arm here, lots of messy stuff going on in the background. I'm sorry, Uli. If I'm going to be teacher, I'm just going to say, must try harder. But thank you for being here nonetheless, my friend. This one's fun. Ah, Mr. Tranter, another street photographer. There's things about this which I think work because it's fillet. It's going to be correctly exposed and all that stuff because that's what he does. My coaching here, fillet, is this lady. She's a distraction. I love the word cow up the top as well, the little thought bubble to go with the name of the store and this guy looking in there. If you're here, I'd love to know, did you get another one as he was just turning away or something like that? Because I think that would have been fun. I find this lady in brown a distraction. I am being harsh because you're really good at this. Yeah, I agree, Glenn. Please don't think that I'm saying it's a bad picture. I think it's a really good picture. Philip Tranter took some great pictures of me when I was having lunch with somebody out in Zurich when you came on that workshop. Crop it a bit maybe. I'm not sure where you could crop it from, Amaral. I mean, if we do our crop thing, close one eye and just take the woman away. Actually, yeah, you've got a point. You've got a point. I stand corrected. Guys, get your phone out. Use your hand, whatever. Just close one eye and just take out the lady on the left. And I think you'll agree it becomes much, much stronger. It even works because the cow, instead of seeing the thought bubble cow, we're seeing it reflected in the window. I think it's a little tight. I think it would have worked better still if he was there long enough, Philip, and you just managed to get the shot as she has walked out of it. Yeah, I would agree, Orion. It's probably better not to crop, but it would be really cool if you could do it as the woman had moved on. Let's just move. Where are we? So we're nearly at the end. There were not that many entries, so you know this is going to be quite a quick one. There's a couple here. Right, Stephen Laws. Let's look at yours first. Stephen, you had some great ingredients here, my friend. I love the World War II flying jackets and the vehicles and all that stuff. But it's like we've just got one guy with his face cut off and somebody's back. Could you have gone around the other side of him? Could you have gone, gentlemen, can I take your picture please? And they'd have turned around, and if as they turned you went click, you'd have had some engaging expressions as well, I think. I think it's a shame about this fella sort of leaning in on the edge of the picture. Maybe if you could have come back a bit and got this guy leaning in, because then it would give a reason that they've got their backs to the camera. Maybe they're engaged with whatever that guy is doing, but we can't see that from the picture. And I'm going to guess there's a border patrol issue going on here. I'm going to guess you didn't notice that guy when you took the picture. Those are just my thoughts. Susan, is that generally you're uncomfortable posting pictures online? Or is it posting pictures of people? Paul Lynn, what's going on here? It's a lovely picture. I'm not saying it isn't. Okay, Paul, that is a very thin thread, my friend. Yeah, I get it now that I read what you've said in your comment, but without reading that, I wouldn't really have got about flowers and plants being an inspiration for fashion and style. I'd have gone, that's a beautifully lit picture of something bursting out, the bud bursting and the flowers. Forgive me, my friend. Ah, we were just talking, weren't we? Ava-Marie. Yeah, now this is a picture of you, isn't it? And I get the impression you really took on board what I'd said on the webpage, where I gave people tips as to how to approach this sort of a challenge. If you don't read them, if you only go, what's the challenge, and someone else tells you, you're missing out. I write on the website some tips, some ideas, show you some examples for each challenge for you to take away, and then do what we talked about when talking about some of the stuff on a workshop, when you take someone else's idea and evolve it into your own idea. Yeah? If you're not going there and having a look at this stuff, you're missing out, because it's going to help you develop new ways of thinking about how to shoot the pictures. You're very, very welcome, Stephen. Ava-Marie, there are things about this I like. I like your pose. I like this kind of straight up and down, and the shoes and this sort of thing. And I guess it does sort of show your style. I think it would have worked very well, or better, let's just say better, if you were looking straight into the lens of the camera. Don't change your body language, don't change your stance. But if you were just staring into the lens, I think it would have given more power. And you get away with it because you're not doing anything crazy. You're not doing the hands on the hips. You're not trying to be attitudey. You're just looking at someone and going, yeah, this is me. And that, I think, would work probably very, very well. I can't keep up with the comments. They're going too far. I'm trying to keep one eye on the comments, but it's not quite working because it's going too quickly. What do we got here? Carl Spitzer. Hello, Carl. Carl, what I'm getting here is a portrait. It's quite a nice portrait. I quite like your daring use of light here because it makes it strong and it makes this lady's wonderful eyes really, really stand out. I like the use of colour with the eye makeup and the dress and the red hair. It's all, you know, but what I'm getting here is a portrait for me rather than a fashion and style. I don't look at it and think it's a fashion photo. I look at it and I think it's a portrait. I'm just whizzing on just a little bit further and a little bit faster. Now, if you want to see someone who is stylish and obviously a man of fashion, then you need to meet Mr. David Clifton, who commented earlier, who I was with all last week in Lanzarote. What a stylish fellow. I'm just not going to say any more about that one, I don't think, David. But thank you for being here, my friend. There's a couple in here, by the way. Anton, you missed the challenge deadline, my friend. You know, again, go to the website, check the dates. It closed on Sunday night, which I seem to remember, I got some notes here somewhere, was the 10th. So, sorry, my friend, you missed the deadline. Even if your picture is stunningly wonderful, I would still say you missed the deadline. Another one there, look, 11th. Sorry, my friend, you missed the deadline. And remember, that is GMT, UK time. It says it in there. If you're not sure when that is, just have a look online and it will tell you pretty much straight away. Yeah, there's some great ideas here. This is an idea I liked as well. Sandra Sim, I quite like it. I like the facelessness of this. I do think it's a really nice idea, Sandra, because that is so obviously fashion and style. We're not getting lost into who the person is. We totally get, I think, that this is about fashion. Maybe style, but I don't know, but it's certainly about fashion. There is no question about it. Good one, Kenneth. Yes, David is indeed a sharp dressed man. So let's go and have a look at the pictures that Ava-Marie chose and liked, and then also just have a look at the ones that I like too. Now bear in mind there are two things going on here, because so Ava-Marie is really into fashion. She makes dresses, she makes clothes. Somewhere here I've got a picture of a dress. Oh, that's right. I didn't put it in there because I wasn't sure if it was okay to use the picture. But like Ava-Marie made a beautiful looking dress for her mum as a present, you know. She's such a young person and she's doing that. So Ava-Marie is possibly coming more from the point of view of what the fashion and style is, because that really is her thing. Yeah, she's a really great photographer too, and for her age, a spectacular one. But I'm coming at you purely from the point of view of a photography teacher. So there's something I just need to go and move around on my screens. Please bear with me. Good. If you saw the live I did a few weeks ago, I showed you behind the scenes all these things I'm having to work, and you know, I'm a bare little brain. Give me some slack, guys. Right. First off, let's have a look at Ava-Marie's choices. And the first one, which she sent to me, was this one from Orion. So Ava-Marie's words were, she likes the light on the dog and the dog being clear centre of the image. It's a very stylish dog and she loves the costume it's wearing. It's just very stylish. Ava-Marie's words. So, well done, Orion. And I get it. It is a stylish dog and I do like the pink and the black. I'm going to hit you up with a little bit of, if you like, photo feedback in this case. Again, that background is busy. It's very busy. We've got a person sort of half sneaking into the picture at the back, possibly a border patrol issue maybe. I like the wide angle lens because it's quite a short lens you've shot with, possibly a phone. Now there's good things you can do with that, because I like the close, and I'm just thinking, could you possibly have used either, as you've just said, your nifty 50 and separated the dog from the background a bit, or a wide angle lens from lower down, so you can be looking up at the dog. And if you could get the dog to be interested in your camera, put a doggy treat on it. I don't know, make doggy noises, lay on the ground really close and make doggy noises. Making doggy noises at dogs works, right? I used to do, you know, studio stuff once upon a time. You make doggy noises at dogs, it works, you know. Start and all that stuff, they start to pay attention. Prick their ears, I go, what was that, you know? These things can work and make them look very, very engaged. And as we all know, if you want to get a cow engaged, you just speak French to it, because all cows speak French. Yeah, so that would be my coaching. It's a little bit of a busy background, maybe a lower angle, maybe your nifty 50 with a wider aperture just to separate it out a bit. But I totally agree with Ava-Marie. It is a very stylish outfit on a dog. I'm not a great one for dressing up dogs and things into human type clothing, but it is a very, very stylish outfit. Ava-Marie's second choice was this one. She says, Linda O'Neill's Mandarin duck. Ava-Marie loves the reflection of the duck in the water and the bright colours. This is a duck with its own style. I think that's brilliant. And you know what I'm going to say, don't you, Linda? It's a beautiful picture with a reflection of the most colourful duck in the world. I'm not getting fashion and style from it myself. What I'm getting is a great picture of a very, very colourful duck. I presume it's a duck. Okay, so let's just move on to the ones that drew my attention, which of course will be for different reasons. I just need to move things again, bear with me. So the first one was from our long time friend of the group, Jane Kilbride, because there's a dynamism for me about this. This guy obviously really thinks about his fashion and his style. He's a stylish sort of a guy. Now, I said earlier about once you get people doing, you know, the poses, it starts to become more about the person. I did read, I think, your comment somewhere, Jane, that you asked to photograph him and he just started doing it on his own. Now, that is a really key thing because his body language, the way he's reacting is him, and it is part of his style rather than a photographer directing. When you start getting this stuff or on all that, it sort of screams this has been directed. This guy is coming out of the page with his own style, and the clothes say it all. The body language, look at the position of the feet. Jane's framed it really, really well. It's kind of backlit. There's just enough shadow depth of field to separate from the building behind. You know, Jane does a lot of street stuff and she's very good at it as well, very good. So what more can I say? This one did jump out at me. Also, look at the way the space in the frame has been used. The feet are just holding it together at the bottom, yet his body is just off centre. And it's caught at a great moment, and he's doing this thing with his hand, but it doesn't distract from his fashion or style. Very stylish individual. Very well done, Jane. The other one which really caught my attention was from Carrie, or Kari, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. Because this one is obviously about, and I think this is you, isn't it, Kari? If you're here, please tell me. I think this is a self-portrait. This is obviously about your fashion and style. Yes, again, we've got a pose going on here, but it works for the image. This is the thing. Kari, great. The other thing I like about this a lot is you have thought hard about it and the way you have used light. The shadow is part of the whole thing. The shadow is a really strong part. The red and white, best friends, they go together. What more can we say? You know, we've got a white background, or rather it's fading because of the way the light is on it, but that strong shadow, yes, you put in a pose. But to me, it is obviously a very stylish outfit and you are being stylish in the picture. Great, great shot. Don't know, this one might catch some of you by surprise because to me, I kind of got it straight away. It's from our old friend, well, not so old I suppose, but our friend Alison Bell. I got it the moment I saw it. There are no clothes in it, but they don't need to be. And I know you did this as this kind of silly joke because it is so not your thing, but I got fashion and style from it. And the fashion part for me comes from the wire cage thing that you would put a dress on, and the style comes from the sparkly lights, because what is fashion? It's about being noticed, about being sparkly, isn't it? So I thought it was quite a clever take on the whole theme. And to me, it still worked, even though there is not a single item of clothing or body language going on in there. So yeah, I was impressed with this one. Technically, obviously, it's great, as all of these are. They're very well taken photographs. Alison's pretty accomplished. What more can I say? This one might take you even more by surprise. I don't know. It's from our friend Joel down there in the Philippines. To me, this is very fashion and style, even down to the reflections of the, the exit signs, the little green things. The shopping mall, we've got Armani. Again, those faceless masks looking straight at you, because it's not about the person, it's about the fashion, it's about the clothes and all the rest of it. It is Good words, Emily, yeah. Creepy and sophisticated. I thought it was a really great shot. Also, those reflections in the glass, you know, that are coming off the floor in the mall, and just the fact that the mall is nearly empty. There's just two other people walking around in there. To me, it's really great. Now, if the mall was really busy, I don't think it would work at all. Also, the fact that it's not color corrected, it's got that yellowy look from the mall, and to me, it just works. It is absolutely about fashion and style as far as I am concerned. Interesting, isn't it? So Adrian doesn't like the reflection. I do. You know, who's right? Who's wrong? Nobody. We're both right. And that is the cool thing. Yes, Irene, nicely composed. I agree. Having those faceless creatures just staring at you, you know, it's kind of creepy. The other one I went for was from, let me just double check because I want to make sure I get your name right. Doc Hobson. I like it because she obviously has a very, very clear idea of fashion and style. But I had a lot of internal conflict with this one, Don, so I hope you don't mind if I give you a little bit of feedback. It's the pose. This picture is strong and I like it, but I think it could have been so much stronger. I really do. Whether you asked her to pose like that or she was putting on that pose because she thinks that that's what's needed. You know, the tattoos, the red hair, the clothes, your location, your photographic ability is obviously excellent. You know, we know that. We've seen your stuff before. The way you have used a wide aperture, you've separated her from the background without destroying the background. We can still see what it is or where it is. But to me, I just think, had she just been standing in the street, maybe looking at you, maybe looking somewhere else, the fact you've got this brilliant deserted street framed with the bridge and those street lights on either side, it's absolutely cracking. You've got great light going on there. I mean, it's a good picture. Please don't think I'm saying it's a bad picture. I'm absolutely not. I just think it could be an even more powerful picture. If she had a more powerful pose, to me the thing which is conflicting is a bit of a 1950s pose with a very not 1950s look, if that makes any sense. Also, be careful as well when someone puts their arm down like that and then leans on it, it brings the shoulder up and forward. But I'm being super picky here. I obviously still liked it. Michelle Brandenburg says the white arrow throws me off. I'm missing something because I can't see a white arrow. Anyway, I will move on. I do like it. I do like it. Just out of interest, before we move on to the last one, does anyone get my points about this, or do you disagree? I think it's a great picture, and I do think it shouts fashion and style because she is so loud against that background. But do you get my points that I think it could have been even stronger? Just stick a Y if you agree, or a no if you think I'm talking a load of old tosh. Fleetwood says, like to see her looking more powerful. Exactly, she looks so powerful. Her look is so powerful. But she's almost looking demure, and I don't know what it is. I just think it could be stronger. I think the rest of you must have gone to sleep. We're not getting much reaction here. Okay, not to worry. I just think it would look great if she was just same depth of field, same location, if she was just standing in the street. Probably just like body straight on, but with her head turned one way, just looking at something, maybe. Like with this kind of an air of arrogance, because that would be part of her style. Maybe she's not an arrogant, you know? She's your friend. I can't comment. I don't know the lady. Great model, great subject. Okay, so I'm just going to come to the one which I liked best. The one which I kept coming back to. And I actually got help on this because I was thinking, oh, which one do I choose? So really, someone I'm very close to who is a designer and a photographer and other things helped me just choose between these as to which one I was going to come back to. And it was a process of which one, backwards, forwards. And the one I came back to, because I think it's really happy, and I think it says style, probably more than fashion, but it certainly says style. And I just think it's a really strong picture. It's my friend Patrick Schofield. I just totally get, and I know there's a pose in there. This is the thing, there's no right and there's no wrong. It's somehow making it work together. That to me, this young girl trying on stylish sunglasses, it just works. How do we know she's trying on sunglasses? Look what is to her left, our right. Yeah, we're being told a little bit about what's happening. She's thinking about her look. How am I going to look? You know, hey, do these suit me? This sort of thing. I think it is a really cracking picture. Hey, Patrick. Patrick is also in our little mentoring group as well, our private mentor group. But, you know, you've got the right depth of field. I really like the composition, the way you've just got her sitting on that edge. Her body language and the way she's looking, you've got some great light going on there. And we know what it's about. It's a young girl trying on sunglasses to see which ones suit her look and her style the best. That's all I can say. Glenn's not sure about that one. That's okay, Glenn. I'm not right. I'm just saying what I think. So that brings us to the end of this particular photo creative challenge. It was a tough challenge. It was a very tough challenge. It was not an easy thing to do. Thank you, Ava-Marie, for coming up with the idea and for choosing a couple of pictures. You rock, as you all do. So there is another challenge coming up, and this one, I think you're going to find it, I think more of you will embrace it. I was hoping more of you would embrace that one because it is a tough challenge. And here's the thing, guys, when you do the hard things, that's when you get good. When you do the stuff you know how to do, the stuff that's easy, the stuff that's in your comfort zone, you're not growing. You're growing when you step outside of that area and you start doing the things that you think, oh, I don't know where to begin with this. What am I going to do? It makes my head hurt, or I feel uncomfortable doing it, you know? Possibly approaching a stranger, you think they look really cool and stylish and saying, can I take some pictures of you, please? That picture of the guy with the dog on Lanzarote, you know, he's there and he looks kind of like this. I just wandered over with my camera and just went, por favor, and waved my camera at him. He just glared at me and went, see? And that was it, you know? It's that easy. What's the worst thing he could say? No, go away. There you go. Because that's not street photography, that's more about portraiture. So guys, the next challenge I think you will find more appealing, many of you. But don't just go and do it and think, oh, that's relatively easy, I'm just going to go and do it. Oh, I'm going to enter this one, it's an easy one. Don't do that. Enter it by all means, but try to do the very best of the very best that you are possibly capable of. Rather than go, oh yeah, no, I'll take a picture of that. All right, I'll forget about it now, I'll just enter it. You're not growing when you do that. You're growing when you work at it. You're growing when you think, yeah, how can I do this better? That's when we make a difference. So, remember there are links in the description below to workshops and things. I think Morocco is going to be live before too long as well. I'm in conversation about that one because some of you guys have asked about it. Ireland is, so get yourself on it. Lanzarote is live as well for next year, and there may be some other things coming up. But those ones are absolute crackers. We know they work. Get yourself on there because I want to meet you and I want to help you. Be well. Take care till next time. The next challenge will be live on the website and posted into the group very, very soon. Be well. Take care, guys. And if you haven't hit the like button, do it now, please. See you later.